Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. NFL free agency news today. Former Titans and Ravens pass rusher Jadeveon Clowney has signed with the Carolina Panthers on a 2-year deal worth $20 million up to $24 million. It's the sixth NFL team in the career of the 31-year-old South Carolina native. College hoops, Vanderbilt set to officially introduce new men's basketball coach Mark Byington. In a press conference today at 4 p.m., Byington went 82-36 in 4 years as the head coach at James Madison, including a first-round NCAA tournament win last weekend over Wisconsin. The Sweet 16 begins tonight with Clemson and Arizona in the West at 6:10. San Diego State takes on top-seeded UConn at 6:40, a national championship rematch from last year. Alabama faces 1-seed UNC in Los Angeles at 8:40. And the night wraps up with Illinois taking on Iowa State. That is a 9:10 tip-off. You can hear all the Westwood One coverage right here on The Zone, presented by Old South Properties and Farm Bureau Health Plans. The Nashville Predators' point streak is at 18 games. They will look to make it 19 as they hit the road tonight at the Arizona Coyotes. Puck drop is at 9 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On your home for the Titans and Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
Let's go, everybody. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. It is Thursday in Nashville. The sun is out. This is low-key, a pretty big sports day. I'm not even going to say low-key. It's high-key, a big sports day. It's Major League Baseball opening day. Sweet 16
That puts it
games.
on the high level?
Yeah, for me it does.
Oh, okay.
Baseball opening day.
Well, that's the whole point. Is it supposed to be personal when we talk on the show, or is it supposed to be national, like nationwide?
I think nationwide, there's baseball teams in a lot of cities. I think people are excited.
Oh, yeah, I know they are. But I don't know if I put this
Nashville.
on I don't know if I put it for here.
Sweet
and
16.
That's who we're talking to.
That's true. Sweet 16 starts today. So the Vols are in it. They'll play tomorrow. There's a lot of Bama fans around here. They play today.
But that's a good question, though. Is it a big day? Bananas? Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Just because it's opening day of baseball, even though, did they still cancel the Braves game?
Yeah, it's postponed until tomorrow, unfortunately.
Well, I'm a Braves fan, too, so.
To me, it is. I love baseball. I'm a huge baseball fan, especially for the Braves. I love today because it's the start of the longest season ever.
Yeah, that's why. That's the only thing I do not like about baseball. Anybody listening to me talking about baseball, I wanted them to shorten the season. So then they was like, well, that'll call for a lot of salary there, Blaine. TV revenue.
Ooh.
I'm like, no, man, it's just too draining and too long. Man, I just feel like they cut like 25 games, and that would be right on point for me.
So go down from like 162 to like.
Yeah, I really want to get to
140?
around the 105, to be honest, but I know that's a huge cut. It's no different than the NFL's, what they're trying to do. They're trying to get to 20 games, and they were at 16. So they're at 17, then they're going to be at 18, then they're going to be at 20. So you do a gradual backward step, but increase how much money you're making with the TV revenue with baseball.
Well,
I think you'll have more fans to watch. They've already sped up the game, so that is exciting for me because I can stay all in, even if it's a pitching duel, which sometimes, most times, it's not. But now, so I think they're on the right track. They're trying to get out of some of their old history ways and adapting to the modern era. Just think, our attention span is so short. So, man, I'll sit there and watch 3 innings. I go, well, dang, man, nothing has happened. I'm turning it. I got to turn. I'm going to start looking at my phone. I'm going to start doing all kind of things if nobody's getting any hits or putting up offense. I think they kind of slowly getting to where I wanted to be, but I don't know about the cutting games.
Isn't it crazy? Like the NBA is like, we'll just have an in-season tournament because we feel like it. The NFL is like, how could we have more games on more days of the week? And with baseball, people are like, could we speed up these games and maybe play less?
Right. See, that's it.
Can we make these faster and have fewer of them?
Yeah. I think if they want to continue to connect with the younger fan base, I think that would be something I would consider. But, it's always about the Benjamins.
Well, they got to start with fixing these blackouts. And I know, and listen, I know that they're kind of stuck where they are right now just because of the deals they've already made, but the blackouts are killing them because you can't watch, like right now in Tennessee, Braves country, you can't watch the Braves if you pay for bodily sports because it's blacked out 90% of the time.
That is absolutely horrible.
It's like that everywhere. Like it's for every market, for every team. If you're not like directly in the city, you're most likely going to get blacked out unless they're playing on a national, like a nationally televised game, like an ESPN Sunday Night Baseball or a TBS game. It's ridiculous. And the Braves used to be on TBS all the time. I'm sure y'all remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And now you can't watch them. Like I've maybe watched 5 Braves games that aren't the playoffs, like 5 regular season games in the last 2 years because I've only been able to watch games that are on ESPN.
I saw the Braves are going to come here and play. Is that a preseason for next year? I remember I saw it like a month ago.
Well, I haven't seen that.
I think it's preseason. It's like in
their
June
spring. I would love to.
Because I think they're coming to where a lot of their fan bases are. I know Tennessee was one of them.
Ooh.
Alabama, and it was another city I can't remember that they were going to be playing in. I think next season, like in the preseason.
That's a good way to fix some of these blackout issues.
I wonder where it was.
Go to the
unless
markets
I was dreaming
that can't watch it.
Check on that because I might have dreamed that because I was thinking
Baseball teams do that, though.
Yeah, I know.
I
I thought it was legit.
Really cool.
Yeah, I don't think it was a blue check by the person, but I feel like they were pretty credible. But I could be wrong, though.
We'll have to do some research during the break.
Yeah, so I think that'll be exciting. So, yeah, maybe it's even during the season. I don't know. I don't think they do that in the middle of the season, but yeah. So you all jacked up? You all in?
No,
I know you're a Cardinals, right?
I don't even know if they'll be any good. They have some really young guys and some really old guys, and they're just kind of hoping the old guys can hold on for another year, and the young guys can maybe play ahead of themselves for a year. But I'm one of these sick people. I mean, I have cable TV, which a bunch of you stream everything. You don't have cable, anything, but I do. Mainly, the main reason is because you can buy a package where it's essentially $1 a game, and you get every game. But, like Bminus said about the blackout rule, if the Cardinals play the Braves or the Reds, this is considered their geography.
Mm-hmm.
So the package that I pay for will say, like, game blacked out in your area, meaning we can't show it because it's on in your area. But then that particular game may just not be on Bally Sports. They make it so hard to consume their product. They make it so difficult. So there's probably 8 games a year or 10 that I can't watch at all because of that. Maybe more than that.
It's ridiculous. They need to fix that. You want to market your sport, but you won't let the people who want to watch your sport watch it because of these blackouts. It's insane. It's my biggest gripe with baseball. I don't care about the length of the game. I don't care about the length of the season. Can't watch the games. Regardless, you could have a 60-game season, still can't watch the games. Ridiculous.
That is where it starts, Banana. That is for sure. Got to be able to watch them first to complain about something. Yeah.
Here's the one thing that baseball does best. They try to kill you with the food that they serve in the stadium.
Are you about to mention the...
Have you seen this, Blaine? The slinger dog. Slinger, like you're slinging something. The slinger dog.
So it's like a hot dog?
Sort of. This is at Busch Stadium. New at Busch Stadium for Cardinals games this year. The slinger dog. This is a hot dog at its heart. 2 fried eggs, a 1/3 pound hot dog, which is a gigantic hot dog, nacho meat, and hash browns on a bun. Would you eat that?
Well, definitely, I would be intrigued to see what it tastes like. And if I like the taste, I keep on rolling when I'm at a baseball game. So, yeah, I like trying new stuff. So I think I would try it for sure. I think it's all right. I don't hear anything on there that would really make me go, "Ah."
There's not like a donut or Nerds candy or something on there where you'd be like, why?
Right.
Yeah.
I saw one team. I can't remember the team. It might have been the Rangers. They're introducing I think it was the Rangers, a garlic knot meatball slider. So the buns are like garlic knots with like a marinara meatball in the middle, and it's like a slider. That's their new food. That's one of their new food options.
Oh.
The reigning World Series champs, Texas Rangers.
I don't know if I want to eat that on like July 18th when it's 103 degrees, but that sounds delicious to me.
Is this what baseball does to get people to come to the games?
Yes.
With the food?
It's
That's
all
it.
about
You got
stadium. When you go to baseball stadiums, every stadium has their like own signature like weird food that they're known for, and sometimes they add new stuff every.
So what are the Braves? Because I go to their games. What is that?
Oh, what do the Braves?
Because I don't recall that.
I can look it up. Give me 1 second.
At the old stadium, I remember they had like hot dogs from every region, like a regional thing on their hot dog. Because I ate a Southwest chili dog there one time.
Oh.
And in less than 1/2 inning, that thing tore
Well,
through.
see,
me.
I consider Southwest hot. Like, I figure like this a kind of a national thing. I don't feel like that's some. I mean, like, I
They
don't
had,
look
like,
at it that way.
one from there, and they had the Northeast hot dog.
Did
and
they? They try to make it a competition.
and like the Canadian
or
one
is
had
that sales?
poutine on it, and then there was.
Is that marketing?
I think it's marketing. If you have crazy menu items, because think about it. I mean, technically, you should be able to sit. If you have a regional sports network, you should be able to sit and watch it on TV. So they're trying to add things to the experience. So you'd be like, well,
right.
I can't get a hot dog like this at my home. I'm going to go have one of those suckers and watch the game.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So I'll tell you this, and you mentioned that. If I was Vanderbilt, my football team, having trouble selling tickets, basketball, I'd come up with crazy menu items.
I like it.
If I was Middle Tennessee, I'd come up with crazy menu items. I would try to give people every reason to come to my games. Like the Vols they need just hot dogs and popcorn and beer and soda. They're fine. They're selling 100,000.
So now they're selling beer in there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They're
I
selling.
was just making sure, man. Bananas,
They're selling beer in their
He
stadium.
was a little disappointed that didn't happen while he was there.
Well, he wouldn't have been old enough till the very end. He was a baby.
Old enough. Everybody who goes to school is old enough.
Man.
Not legally, I guess, but yeah.
If I was any school that had trouble with attendance, man, I'd go to somebody. I'd have a giveaway every game, especially every football game. I'd have something, a magnet, a football for kids. I'd give away something. If I was having trouble getting people at the gate, then I'd try other stuff. If your product doesn't bring people, just what you put on the field, then the experience needs to bring people.
I know it's not major league, but it's minor league. I know the sounds always have something going on, man. It's always entertaining, besides just the actual game. So, yeah, that's probably a big deal there in baseball.
All right.
The sounds, I think, do the best of anybody,
they do a really
of just
good job.
everything they throw at you to come to the game.
I'm looking at some of these Braves food items. So they have this thing called the cleanup burger. It is a burger.
This involves a trip to the bathroom is what I think of when I think of
anything
cleanup.
says cleanup in his food, I'm not it.
It's got
no.
100% it involves
I think
cleanup
It looks
later.
like waffles as the buns. Looks like it's got cheese, maybe like a fried egg on a burger. Got some fries on there.
Oh, I like fried egg. On
They
a
have
burger.
a submarine sandwich, which looks like this giant sandwich with just a bunch of meat and lettuce and tomatoes. Just a giant sub. A Georgia BLT looks like it's got 2 thick pieces of, I don't know if that's ham or bologna, with a bun in between. It looks like it honestly looks like a Big Mac, but
See,
like
this honestly sounds like all stuff that I would eat.
a triple.
Where you're a human garbage
There's this thing called the triple play. I don't know what this is.
But like, I want you to hit us with like it's nerds candy and bacon and I don't know, a piece of bologna on a bun made out of donuts.
Well, since it's opening day, have people call in and tell us what is the, I guess craziest named, type of food that you ate at it.
Or what's the wildest food item you have bought
there you go.
at a baseball game?
All right,
Yeah.
all right. You can put that in the F&M Bank chat, or you can tweet us that because we got to bring Buck Reising on next. We can ask him what's the wildest thing he's eaten at a ball game. Although he won't eat anything with anybody watching
Has he
him.
been to a Major League Baseball game?
I don't know if
I
he
would
did.
assume he's at least been to a Sounds, right?
All right, we'll ask him the wildest thing he's ever eaten at a ball game. In the meantime, you can hit us in the F&M Bank
in
chat,
between
or
time.
we'll take phone calls about this. We can do that coming up at 615-737-1045. But in between time, Buck Reising next. Grand slams, no hitters, double plays. It's all back. You know why it's all back? Because the baseball season has returned, and there's no better place to get in on all that MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel. And because right now, new customers can start the Major League Baseball season with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 you can use to bet on money lines or strikeouts or homers or whatever you want to bet on. You can bet it on. And again, that's $200 that you can do. You can even combine your bets in the same game for a same-game parlay for a chance at an even bigger payout, all in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Just visit FanDuel.com/Mickey, and you can join today and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Got to be 21 or older. Present in Tennessee. First online real money wager. Only $10 first deposit is required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. It expires 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Ooh.
Blaine and Mickey 104.5, The Zone. You know what day it is. It's Thursday. It's time to talk to our man, Buck Reising, who joins us now. Brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, Two Rivers Ford.
Ooh. I wonder if he's had a garlic knot meatball at a baseball game.
Buck, what's the craziest thing you've ever eaten at a baseball game? And I know you don't eat weird things and people watch you, but just eat like nobody's watching. What's the craziest thing you've ever eaten at any sporting event?
They can't be watching him because he won't eat it.
Right.
It's too messy.
Yeah.
It's true. There are rules, there are protocols that have to be followed. I don't think I have anything that qualifies on that list. I mean, I don't know. Like, when am I?
You go to a Sounds game?
Yeah, but I'm not eating at a Sounds game. I'm out in the bandbox drinking frozen Jack Daniel's slushies or whatever. I'm not eating there.
You're not? Why is that? You're not hungry?
Because the food gets in the way of the booze, Blaine.
Well, see, I'm not smart enough. I'm not, I got to get that food in, man. Yeah. Try something crazy.
No, I mean, I don't know. I'll get like a soft pretzel or something like that. I'm not getting crazy with it.
Okay. I knew that this answer would not include like a giant hamburger with, waffles for buns or something and, a milkshake poured
No,
over the top
I'm not out here with the what is KFC have now? The Cheesa? Is that what they call it? The chicken pizza?
Oh, yeah, I had that. Remember, I got it.
Blaine went and got one.
Yes. They were talking about it, so I went and got it. It was pretty good. It wasn't that bad.
Well, sure, but I'm sure the toilet experience was not.
Oh, no, when I said that bad, it digestive system was all good to go.
Yeah, man.
Start to finish.
Yeah, it was good.
All the steps of the process were working. All right.
It's like a chicken parm.
Let's pivot from parm to hip drop tackles. Are you ready to see who was it who tweeted this? I think you even retweeted it or quoted it. An account that basically said, Chiefs go for it on fourth down late in the game, don't get it. Hip drop tackle, first down, Patrick Mahomes.
Dang.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, it's going to decide games. It's going to be infuriating, and there's nothing that they can do about it really, because when you attribute, and again, I don't have access to the way that they've gone about the measurements here, but if I'm to take them at their word in the press release and understand that there was a spike in injuries from this particular method of tackling equal to 25%, it's impossible for them to not make a rule against it. And Titans fans experienced it for themselves multiple times. Delaney Walker is an example of this going back to 2018, and Ryan Tannehill with the high ankle sprains. And he's not the only one. Tony Pollard is somebody who's dealt with the repercussions of the hip drop tackle. And I personally don't have a problem with them officiating or with them getting rid of the particular form of tackling. What I have a problem with is the way that it's going to be officiated, because there's just no way that these guys can consistently find a solution that's not going to drive everybody insane when you're flagging or throwing flags for tackling form that result in a 15-yard penalty and an automatic an automatic first down. I don't know what the right answer is. I think this is probably the best possible solution, even if it's not ideal.
Buck Reising, always ideal as a visitor with us on Thursdays in the first hour, and of course, driven to the show by Two Rivers Ford.
Yeah, on the hip drop tackle, I had never heard of the term, to be honest, but I definitely know what they're talking about. I didn't know the numbers were so high there. I thought it was more like 6%. But the question is, will guys, after getting a penalty, which I haven't heard a lot about, after they get that penalty, will they get that certificate in their locker the next day for a fine? Because a lot of players, I guarantee it, are saying they're just trying to find more ways to fine us than the actual sharpen up the game. So do we know what they're going to fine the players to, or are they?
So the way that it was explained to me is that the NFL just wanted the rule on the books, so now they have the ability to fine or call on the field. I don't know what the amount is going to be, Blaine, because, of course, we're all used to seeing those things typically come out on Tuesday for, helmet to helmet, for unnecessary roughness, for roughing the passer, and things like that. I have not seen a number associated with this, or at least nothing that anybody's put out there just yet. And I mean, my sense is they're only going to call the most obvious tackles that meet the standard and let the rest of it play out. But you're leaving a lot there to discretion, which of course makes me nervous. There's always going to be human error in sports. We know this. But this heightens the degree of it with a pretty routine play.
Well, naturally, they came out with the Mickey Ryan kickoff rule change, which was fantastic. But with the new rule, I'm always thinking about how it's going to impact the Titans. Who would you put back there as the roster is currently constructed for kickoff returns?
It's probably Spears.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
I think since you have Pollard, who has done some returning in his career going back to college, I think Spears, we didn't really get a good sample size of that last year. I think that he's capable. Certainly the last coaching staff seemed to trust him more than they did Kyle Phillips with returning duties. And I know kick returning is different than punt returning, and I don't want to conflate those two when they shouldn't be. But I would say Spears is probably the person right now on the roster best equipped to kind of go to make an impact with the rules as currently constituted.
Well, let's get to your expertise, and that is Snead. Did Kansas City really get the value from Snead that I thought they was getting, or did the market kind of change with all players, and they just didn't get a lot of value of what you were thinking, at least initially when you franchise tag a player?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation for them because they didn't really have a lot of leverage to do better than they did, right, Blaine? Like there's so while the player himself we might think that he's worth more than a future third-round pick and a seventh-round pick swap, that's just not what Kansas City was going to be able to stand on based on the amount of cap relief that they absolutely had to have. $20 million damn near is a huge amount of money for them, especially given the contract that they just handed out to Chris Jones. He's a fourth-round pick himself, L'Jarius Snead, so maybe they're confident in their ability to find a replacement. Obviously, it's next year's third-rounder that the Titans gave up in this deal, so we'll see if they do anything of consequence with the seventh-rounder that they swapped for. But, yeah, I mean, I personally was surprised, but if that's as good as they were able to do on the market, considering the contract that another team was going to have to give out to him after the fact, then it's tough for me to be too critical of the Chiefs because that's a deal that's a contract that they had to get off their books. They weren't going to be able to retain him.
Let me ask you one more question. You just made me think of something. Kenny Pickett and Justin Fields, who's the better player?
I think it's Justin Fields.
Right. So the market actually didn't dictate who was better, correct? Based off what was given up for them.
No. And Blaine, we talked about this a little bit before I went on vacation. I think just kind of in passing, like the difference in value for Pickett versus Fields, because Pickett requested the trade and Pittsburgh was under no pressure to trade him and was able to get better value than the Bears, who seemed like they might have taken a lesser deal to move Justin Fields to a place that he was more comfortable. Because I don't know if you saw the conversations that came out of that about his agent, making requests specifically to the Bears for it to be the Steelers. So not having been on the inside of those discussions, I'd be curious to know how much more they could have gotten, but it was still a soft market for Fields regardless with the way that the quarterback carousel worked out.
Okay, I'm just based off what you just said there, did that make sense to you? The team who had all the power decided we'll just trade you to a team you want to go to get less value instead of us dictating where you go to get more value.
Hell no, that's not the NFL I know.
Right. So I don't believe that one iota.
No, that's been the spin, as I would call it, that's come out of Chicago's camp since then. But even still, Blaine, for the NFL to tell Justin Fields that that's what they think of him, essentially, if they weren't able to get better than a 6th-round pick or a 6th-round pick that has the potential to be a 4, with the way that they've structured the situation, that's pretty shocking to me. He's certainly shown a lot more viability as a starter than Kenny Pickett has, but the league seems to disagree with us on that.
I think the GM botched it early on in the trade process and then got to the end and then had no choice. But there you have it. Buck Reising from the Buck Reising Show.
All right, Buck.
Yeah, but then he gets to look like the nice guy afterwards.
Right.
You're like, we sent him to a place that he wanted to go. Yeah, I didn't do anything.
See that?
Please look away.
Wow. What does Blaine say? If they tell you to look to the left, then look to the right immediately, and you'll know everything you need to. All right, pick 7. We're less than a month out now from that pick taking place. What are your current thoughts on pick 7? Do you have a ride or die position or player? Are you thinking trade back based on what they've done in free agency? And you reserve all rights to change this over the next 3 weeks. But where are you right now on pick 7?
I'm pretty comfortably in the trade back situation with Minnesota and Vegas sniffing around quarterbacks. I think that it makes the most sense given the needs. I don't think that wide receiver is dire or as dire as it was. But if they have a prospect that they feel is absolutely worth taking at 7 and that they couldn't do better for the value on a trade back situation and adding multiple positions, then I'd understand it. But my gut feeling is you have multiple needs without a 3rd round draft pick. If you can pick up some extra draft capital there to be able to fill out that inside linebacker spot or that safety spot and still be able to get your tackle and wide receiver depth that you desperately need, this is a draft that's well equipped for them to be able to maneuver. So I'd probably try and angle back and pick up as many picks as humanly possible.
Did you have any takeaways? It seems like, especially Callahan, seemed to do a lot of interviews at the owners' meetings. Any big takeaways from what you heard from Rand or Callahan down in Florida this week?
That they tried to pursue Danico Autry and Azeez Al-Shaair, it sounds like, and again that can be just convenient after the fact, but. If that money did, in fact, turn into Ridley, a late pursuit of Ridley, then I don't think Titans fans are complaining about it for that cost-benefit analysis, even though those still are 2 very big positions of need for this football team to address. With Callahan, it's just how much more open he is about everything, about being willing to even entertain the idea of Calvin Ridley playing in a Jamar Chase type of role in the offense that they'll run here versus what he ran in Cincinnati. It's not like groundbreaking stuff. I think that most people can surmise or imagine or assume how they might deploy Calvin Ridley, but to hear the head coach articulate it, not in terms that give away any kind of game strategy or stuff like that, that they'll have to account for in future months, but just to hear how comfortable he is talking about the usage of the players and their skill sets and stuff like that is definitely a change of pace from the last situation that Titans fans have been desperately trying to learn information about their football team and been met with what is basically a brick wall.
Yeah, just say Vrabel.
A brick Vrabel.
Yeah. Michael George Vrabel, not exactly the most forthcoming in many circumstances, but in particular, the usage of football players.
From a brick to a buck, Buck Reising joining us now on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, speaking of Vrabel, man, do you think that the Titans would have made the moves they made thus far this year under the old regime like they have with the new regime?
I mean, a part of me wants to say yes, Blaine, just because they didn't have the money, right? It's tough for Rand. Listen, Vrabel dug his own. Grave seems a bit dramatic, but to an extent, he dug his own grave on that kind of stuff. And who's to say that he wouldn't have gotten in the way on some of these transactions? Because certainly, if you go along with the reporting around it, he didn't think that Rand Carthon was completely qualified to do this job, which is why he wanted a certain level of personnel control. And Rand seems to be at least checking all the correct boxes this offseason and pursuing the right kinds of players, even if they haven't won every negotiation or every bidding war that they've been involved in. And they do have a tremendous amount of need, but I would be inclined to think that they would absolutely spend. I don't know about specific players, but the biggest hindrance to them has been their salary cap plus 3 straight drafts that have left the cupboards entirely bare. And while most teams like the Colts are paying their players that they drafted in-house. The Titans don't have anybody besides Jeff and Harold Landry that were worth those kind of contracts, and now that money's going elsewhere. So, yeah, I mean, my initial inclination would be to say yes.
Okay, stage one of free agency pretty much over with, let's just say. What do you think, or what grade would you give the Titans thus far to this point?
Oh, let's go B-. Let's go B-. I love how aggressive they were with the positions that were glaring, center, wide receiver, corner, that they had the patience to stick with the Snead negotiations, even though it looked like there were plenty of moments for them to drop out and bow out the way that several other teams did. I can't give them any higher than that, though, because their defensive front is kind of scary and not in the good way that you would want to talk about with a front seven that features Jeff Simmons and Harold Landry. That needs a significant amount of reinforcements. And that they keep kind of getting or trying to get in on safeties and aren't able to land any of them to date is less than ideal, because at some point they need somebody to pair with Amani Hooker, right? I don't think we feel nearly as good about Elijah Molden right now. So I think given that there's still a glaring, gaping hole at left tackle and really not a lot of answers as to who's going to play alongside Jeff and Harold, I think a B- is about as good as I can do.
B-. Any guys you got in mind that you wish they would target? They're still on the list for you in free agency?
Yeah, I mean, the Marcus Maye thing makes all the sense in the world to me, and I don't understand. Now, I know Andrus, however you pronounce his first name, the Saints, the former Saints lineman, I know he wanted a lot more money here than they would be willing to spend for a depth player. But they did get into trouble with that last year with George Fant. He wanted more than vet minimum, and he ended up playing substantial snaps for the Texans because he is capable of that. But Marcus Maye just makes too much sense here.
There you have it. Buck Reising from the Buck Reising Show.
All right, on the way out, Buck, are you ready for some football on Wednesday and Friday and pretty soon any other day of the week all the time that they want to play, because they can do anything they want right now?
Well, hell yes. As long as there's football, there's money, and I like making money. More football.
You surprised, though, Wednesday on Christmas? Because apparently there were multiple reports. They said, no, we're not going to do that. And then they're like, yeah, we'll do it. Not only that, we'll play 2 on Sunday, or on Wednesday, rather, on Christmas, it's looking like.
Blaine, if they tell me to look left, which way do I look?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, you're not playing on Christmas after you got Black Friday? No.
Yeah, exactly.
The NFL is not going anywhere. They 7 days a week, all football all the time, every major network, all of it. They want it all. And I respect it, mostly because I work in this industry, and that is good news for all of us.
Do you agree with me that, and I'm just going to say yes, you will, they should just acquire the ownership of the USXFL and just use it as a total farm system, like third-string quarterbacks can go there and play. They want to try any rule. They have to try the rule for them. Just turn it into your waiting room for the NFL for rules, players, officials, everything.
Oh, I think they're kind of already doing that, aren't they? I mean, with the amount of personnel crossover that they have now with, as you talk about, a farm system, not just for players but for rule changes that they might want to make. These games are going to be broadcast on NFL Network, on Fox and on ESPN as well, like that. And the NFL Network component of that is new, but not insignificant to me. I think they want to try and jam as much football down our throats as humanly possible, which is why the merger for the USFL and XFL makes a lot of sense, because enough of trying to support 2 independent spring leagues. Let's just try and focus as much of our attention into this one league as humanly possible, and with the right people as the front-facing components, with the shadowy league figures funding it in the places where it needs the most important funding, and with people who are hugely impactful from the NFL, who have experience, who can get them the proper strength and conditioning protocols, the right kind of facilities that they need, who have a knowledge of this. I think it makes all the sense in the world.
Buck, you make all the sense in the world. We appreciate you spending some of your time with us every Thursday, again, courtesy of Two Rivers Ford. Thank you, sir. Enjoy your Friday and your Thursday night and your weekend, and we'll talk again soon.
Always my pleasure, boys. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
One and only Buck Reising. All right, there's an interesting mock draft scenario out there from Pete Briscoe that involves quarterbacks taking up a lot of space early on. and then involves the Titans having some real choices to make. I want to share this with you boys next and get your opinion and everybody's opinion. 615-737-1045.
Hey, Tennessee, it's Blaine Bishop here, and with the unpredictable weather hitting us hard, it's crucial you ensure your home is equipped for any challenge. So don't let the next power outage catch you off guard. Cool Ray's Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical has your back, and they're offering an incredible $1,500 off select at-home generators. And yes, you heard it right, $1,500 off. So don't gamble with your family's safety. Act now and secure your peace of mind with Cool Ray. If that's not enticing enough, take advantage of their $49 tune-up for your HVAC system. It's perfect for ensuring your home stays comfortable in any weather. And if you've been thinking about upgrading to a new HVAC system, they're offering free estimates on replacements. And their expert comfort consultants are ready to guide you toward the perfect solution for your home. That's Cool Ray, keeping Tennessee cool, plumbing right, and lights bright. So visit CoolRay.com to take control of your home's comfort and safety. That's CoolRay.com.
Below MSRP? Below MSRP. Below MSRP. It's pretty simple. Two Rivers Ford sells all new non-specialty Fords below MSRP.
Blaine and Mickey 1045 The Zone. So it's the season of lies, as Blaine Bishop refers to it. It is the season of lies.
Deception.
The season of deception. That sounds better than lies. You're not a liar. You're a deceiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What reason why I say that is everybody's talking about, I think this is where you're going with it. I'm just a guess. We've worked together so long. J.J. McCarthy now all of a sudden is going to be in the second or third quarterback. Who does this remind you of? Last year's draft. Think about it for 1 second. 1 second. Up. Will Levis. Remember, he went from first pick of the draft, the first rounder, to, he not even getting drafted in the first round. But all the hype going up to it, he kept rising up the boards. Remember that?
Yeah, but the only difference between Will Levis and J.J. McCarthy is J.J. McCarthy's success in college completely outweighs Will Levis's success in college.
True, but that's not how it's designed, and that's where people go wrong with NFL evaluation. It's not about the success of your team. It's about your own individual talent. And I would bear to differ that Will Levis has better arm talent than J.J. McCarthy.
I completely agree.
Now that I've seen him for 6, 7 games, I'm like, oh man, this dude's arm is off the charts.
Look, J.J. McCarthy's a winner. He's done nothing but win in his career.
Absolutely.
But he's never been the guy that teams have had to lean on to win games. Look at Michigan. It was Blake Corum and that running game, that offensive line, and that defense. He never had to. I mean, he made the throws he had to because he didn't have to put the team on his shoulders and carry him. So I really don't know what to make of him because I feel like we haven't seen him be forced to carry a team.
Watch, didn't he beat out Joe Milton?
I don't.
Were they there together?
I don't know. They might have been. Joe Milton has been in college for a long time.
Right. I think when Milton got hurt, I think it was his finger or something. Then I think they put in J.J. McCarthy. And then he never got it back.
Yeah,
I want to say that happened, but I didn't look it up.
That
I could be wrong.
right.
It could have been some other quarterback because they were playing Russian roulette at quarterback there for a second there. So watch this. Not better arm talent as Joe Milton, but a better football player. And as you said at Bananas, a winner. So do you take him or do you take Joe Milton? Why would we get silent?
I would take J.J. McCarthy.
Right.
Yeah.
Watch this. Is Joe Milton even a top 10 quarterback? I didn't say top 10 in the draft. Top 10. Let's go down the names. Who's first? Caleb Williams.
Yep.
Daniels.
Yep.
Jaden Daniels. Maye. J.J. McCarthy. Penix. Nix. Pause me when you want to stop me. Rattler. Jordan Travis. Pratt. Tulane. And I just saw this name the other day, and I said, there's no way. Austin Reed, Western Kentucky.
Man,
top 10 quarterbacks coming out of the NFL.
Those Western Kentucky QBs can sling it.
But we're all fascinated. Joe Milton can throw the ball so
80 yards.
far. It's almost like falling in love with that sprinter guy. When you go back and look at the tape, you go, oh, man, he's just okay. That's how I feel about the deep ball with Joe Milton. Like, there's so many other things about quarterback that make you elite. Just because you have a rocket launching arm that God gave you doesn't mean you're going to be a great quarterback. Now, what it does do for the NFL, it says, but we can teach him everything else.
Right.
Because we can't teach you to throw the ball 80 yards. So can they hone that in? I would beg different. He's had multiple chances, got beat out by Hooker, who is not a more talented player than him, but he was a better quarterback than him.
Do you know where he is?
See, what they say? I haven't looked him up. I was like, man, I don't know if he's a top. He may go undrafted
On CBS's rankings. And
he can't go undrafted.
CBS has a fantastic
to do that.
player ranking system where you can go and check overall. You can check just by position.
Where's he at?
I love CBS. I would recommend everybody go there if you're into draft stuff like me. It's a total nerd fest. You can just nerd out. He's their 17th quarterback.
See?
Joseph Milton is 17th quarterback.
So 17, it puts you in I don't know.
So J.J. McCarthy was not on
wasn't?
Michigan when Joe Milton's final year there. It was Cade McNamara who went to Iowa.
Yeah, McNamara. I knew it was somebody of McNamara. It would start with an M, though, yeah. Mm-hmm. So who are the quarterbacks, let's say, that I didn't list that are on the list ahead of Joe Milton there, Mickey?
You mentioned Penix, Nix, Pratt. Then next for them is Spencer Rattler.
I said Rattler.
Next for them is Jordan Travis. You said him.
Uh-huh.
Then a guy named Gavin Hardison of UTEP.
Who?
Yes.
I've never heard of him.
Spencer Sanders of Ole Miss. Talia Tagovailoa, who finished at Maryland. Keaton Slovis of BYU. Brennan Armstrong of NC State. Devin Leary of Kentucky. Sam Hartman of Notre Dame. Then Joe Milton.
I'm telling you.
A couple of those names, just like Keaton Slovis. He was at Pitt before he went over to BYU, and he was all right at Pitt. I think he had a decent season at BYU last year. I can't remember off the top of my head. I didn't follow the Cougars very much. Spencer Rattler is probably the most interesting one ahead of Joe Milton because just of his career path so far. You know, he went to Oklahoma. He was the guy, and then he all of a sudden wasn't the guy. Then he went to Carolina and had his struggles. But he's had a decent, like this in this offseason leading up to the draft, he's had a decent move up the boards just because of what he's done in the combine, at the Senior Bowl, and all that. He's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see where he goes.
You know, the thing that surprised me most about him was we were all at SEC Media Days last year. Mm-hmm. He's just not a very big guy. I think he's listed on here as 6'1", and 215.
Who?
Spencer Rattler.
No, he's not big.
6'1",
I thought he was only
217.
6 feet 5'11", to be honest.
Well, they list him as 6'1", which means he's
6 feet. At least.
6 feet tall.
Yeah.
There's a podcast that I listen to. It's Field Yates and Mel Kiper, and all they do is discuss draft picks. So today, they just had off-the-radar guys. They spent 10 minutes talking about Spencer Rattler. Yeah. They love that dude. And the one thing about Mel, though, was Mel was like, he had some games where he was the best player on the field. And it was like, against a bad Mississippi State team, against a bad Vanderbilt team. He cherry-picked the games where they played like bottom-tier SEC teams. He's like, he really excelled in those games.
Well, he had a league game versus Tennessee, though.
Yep.
The one that they lost. So that was 2 years ago?
Yeah, there was the
2
2022 season. He had a great game against Tennessee, like could not miss a throw.
In South Carolina.
Yep.
And then the game last year against Tennessee, he was
just okay.
He was all right.
All right. Well, the first hour of the show was more than all right, but here's the thing. We got a whole nother show coming up. I'll hit you guys with this mock on the other side because we can always stop and talk quarterbacks. That was fun.
Yeah.
I'll hit you with the mock scenario, and as Blaine is right, we've known each other for a while. It has to do with a quarterback going early to force another player back potentially to the Titans. So let's get to that as we start hour number 2. You were right. All right, let's have some real talk out there, guys. Maybe you're just not feeling like you want to feel, right? Maybe you're going to the gym, you're not getting the results from your workout. Maybe you just feel tired, fatigued. I will tell you this. I can walk into my house every day and fall asleep on the couch. That's kind of what led me to call Edge Peptide Therapy. And I went in and I called and I made an appointment. It was easy. They're on Cool Springs Boulevard. I went and I talked to them and I asked them about all the stuff that they do and how they can help me. Well, they do testosterone treatment, but they do other things as well. I wanted to work with them and find out what was going on with me because, listen, if I don't have the energy to take care of everybody else, take care of myself, then I certainly can't take care of everybody else in my family too. They use this constantly evolving protocol. They monitor your labs and your levels of all sorts of different things. At Edge Peptide, their goal, start to finish, is to make bodies feel better from the inside out. Hormone therapy, peptide therapy, regenerative therapy, and so much more. And right now, they're offering an everyday low price of $99 a month. That's the special for testosterone therapy. And testosterone can start to drop even with people in their 20s, 30s, 40s now, not just their 50s. So if you're not feeling like yourself and you want to again, go to edgepeptide.com or call them. Tell them I sent you, 615-724-1878, and schedule an appointment today.
Good afternoon. It is 2:01. I'm Joseph Bonanno. Happy MLB opening day to those who celebrate. But sorry, Braves fans, we will have to wait until tomorrow to see Atlanta take the field as their opening day matchup versus the Phillies was rained out and postponed until Friday. Some big matchups to start the MLB season. Yankees taking on the Astros. Cardinals are taking on the Dodgers. And the defending World Series champions Rangers, they host the Cubs. In college basketball, Vanderbilt is set to officially introduce new men's basketball coach Mark Byington in a press conference today at 4 p.m. Byington went 82-36 in 4 years as the head coach of James Madison, including a first-round NCAA tournament win last weekend over Wisconsin. The Sweet 16 begins tonight with Clemson and Arizona in the West region at 6:10. San Diego State takes on top-seeded UConn at 6:40, and Alabama faces 1-seed UNC in LA at 8:40. The night will wrap up with Illinois taking on Iowa State for a 9:10 tip-off. You can hear all the Westwood One coverage right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Happy Thursday afternoon to you. Weekend starts now. We'll just tell you that. Sun is shining. It's an opening season day for baseball. You got the Sweet 16 kicking off tonight. Got two SEC teams left to root for. Bama will play tonight. Tennessee tomorrow night. Blake Lovell's going to join us tomorrow. So we'll talk about today. So we'll talk about with him. Bama tonight and Tennessee tomorrow. Looks like Calipari is back at Kentucky. We can ask him about all that. And, of course, we're going to talk a lot about Tennessee and Creighton. We'll do that. But let me hit you guys with a scenario as we start the second hour. And anybody wants to join this draft discussion, we got less than a month now of pre-draft. It's like the Christmas season for me. I love all the anticipation leading up to it, the scenarios. So Pete Prisco, who's a longtime NFL guy, works for CBS Sports now, has a mock draft out there. And Blaine, this goes back to what you said as we started the last segment of the first hour. I know where you're going with this. They're estimating an extra quarterback going early in the draft. That's exactly it. Mm-hmm. So here's the way Prisco's got it. And as Coach Mack always says, there's two drafts. There's one for everybody else, and there's one for the quarterbacks. So this doesn't even remotely seem impossible to me. So he's got Caleb Williams as Pete Prisco. Caleb Williams going number 1 to the Bears. Jaden Daniels going number 2 to the Command Skins. J.J. McCarthy as pick number 3 to the Patriots, that they go and find themselves another Michigan quarterback. Try to repeat some history like they did with Brady. Pick number 4 of round 1, Drake Maye going to the Vikings. So that's the best case scenario for the Titans because that pushes another possible player down. If 4 quarterbacks go, then you're like,
So Minnesota's trading up because Arizona's the 4th pick, correct?
Yep, trade to the Cardinals.
Okay.
So he has them trading up. So pick number 5, no surprise here, the Chargers. They unloaded 2 wide receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr. That doesn't surprise me. Pick number 6, the New York Giants. They need offensive line help. They need playmakers. They've got them taking Malik Neighbors. So if you're the Titans, if you're Rand and crew, you have on the board any offensive tackle you want. He has the Titans taking Joe Alt just for posterity.
Okay.
So you can have any offensive tackle. You can have Dallas Turner or Jared Verse. Those are kind of considered the 2 top edges. You could have Roma Dunze because he's the other of the big 3 receivers. You could have any cornerback if you like Quinyon Mitchell, or if there's one of the Alabama guys that you like, Terrion Arnold. You can have anybody else. There's 4 quarterbacks and 2 receivers gone. Everything else is on the table. Anything else. And so a lot of people, like we had Buck on earlier, he's like, I just trade back. Well, what if there's no offer to trade back?
Right.
Or maybe there is, but you're like, that's not worth our time. No way. Nope. No how.
So if you got a stick and pick based off of that scenario,
where are you going?
The card,
you do there, Bananas?
The card for Joe Alt better be in Roger Goodell's hand before the Giants pick is announced. if that's it, because here's how I think about it is would you rather have a left tackle who is plug and play and ready to go when the season starts? Or would you rather have a left tackle where you don't know if he's going to be ready to play, but heck, we'll give it a shot under Bill Callahan and see if we can get him ready? And I get Bill Callahan is supposed to be he's supposed to be the best offensive line coach in football. And I'm not saying he isn't, but I would much rather have for sure, let's get the left tackle locked down than go after, let's say, a Rome Odunze or a Brock Bowers or a defensive player, and then go after your left tackle later, and you're not sure how that guy's going to work out because it might be a project, and then you're kind of risking your quarterback there when the season starts. So I'm Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu if Joe Alt's not there. Get your starter left tackle and let's ride.
Where are you going, Mickey? I want to hear the mixter.
Here's the wild card in all this. We don't know anything about how any of these guys think. Rand, we don't know how Callahan thinks.
Oh, no.
And here's the thing. All we've heard about is they got Callahan's dad now. He can coach people up. Maybe Callahan's dad has watched all the Joe Alt tape and is like, I don't know if he's that guy. And all the draft talk is, well, Fashanu is the more athletic guy. Mm-hmm. That his upside is bigger. That Alt is who he is right now. But Fashanu.
Yep, I watched both. I would concur with that.
So maybe he's not sold on either one of those. Maybe there's a guy that he thinks, I'll get that guy at 38. I'll coach that guy up. I like this guy better. Some guy, and I don't know who it might be. Just somebody he could take in the second round. Maybe he's got that kind of idea. Mm-hmm. So at that point, defensive coordinator walks in the room. Do you want the best edge rusher on your board? Do you want the best cornerback on your board? Because the $1 million question to me is, do they still feel like they need to spend, if they don't move at all, either 7 or 38 on a receiver, even after the Calvin Ridley deal? Mm-hmm. Do they still think, no, I want another receiver. I want another guy, which would push Burks down to number 4. I want another guy in the first or second round. Because if not, if they truly want to help the defense, you could have any pass rusher.
You can get the number 1 pass rusher.
Or the number 1 corner.
Draft.
Yeah. And they just signed 2 corners. Mm-hmm. The one of those spots where they're lacking the most is pass rush.
Mm-hmm. And tackle.
Yep. Pass rusher and tackle, because they helped themselves at receiver. They helped themselves at corner. There's still veteran safeties out there.
So what are you doing?
Pass rusher.
So to you, what's more important, protecting the quarterback or attacking the quarterback from the defensive side?
Ooh, that's I think they're both pretty important.
And those are probably the 2 most important.
Outside of the quarterback.
Outside of the quarterback. Those are probably the 2 most important roles on the field.
Protect the quarterback or sack the quarterback or be the quarterback. Everything is related to the quarterback.
Yeah. You know, the guys here on the chat are talking about doesn't Alt have a visit set up. Yeah, he does. But that doesn't always tell you everything. I mean, what's going on. But, I don't. What are you going to do, Mickey, before I tell you mine?
I will say this. I loved watching Dallas Turner in college. 6'4", 252 is where he's listed. I wish I felt better about him as a translate to the NFL guy. Mm-hmm. I wish not that I don't think he'll be bad. I just don't know if he's going to be worth pick number 7. Mm-hmm. And that bothers me because I wish I felt that way. Or Verse. Man, Verse is a bad dude.
Boy.
I mean,
did you see him? He was doing DB drills. I was like, what the heck is this dude doing? Some of these dudes are so talented, man. It's insane athletically.
And they've got Turner going 8th. They've got Verse going 9th. It's what Prisco has.
To who?
Turner,
Who's
8th to the Falcons.
Falcons.
The Bears have another pick 9. They've got Verse going 9 to the Bears, which they've already taken their quarterback. Then they got Odunze going 10. And Odunze's been my guy the whole time. Like he was my Vontae Mack no matter what guy. But then they signed Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, I'm with you, though. I don't know if that really precludes them from taking a receiver because you got Hopkins in his last year.
Yep.
You got your first rounder Burks, who hasn't performed up to the draft pick, so you don't know. And then you didn't draft him, so if he doesn't work out this year, then you're going to move on. So you got to start building at the same time. I'm interested to see if they try to start building through the draft now, or do they wait one more year because they may have to draft guys from 4 up, which means 3 guys because they don't have a 3rd-round pick, to come in and start right away. So, man, this is a tough call. But you haven't told us yet. I'm going O-line. I'm going all. I am. I mean, great coach with a great player can be something really special. As much as I want to go for the weapons and everything else, I think that kind of solidified. When they got Ridley, if they didn't get Ridley, I think I would be.
Oh, Doomsday.
Yeah. Or even neighbor, whoever is available at that spot. So I'm gonna go alter. Yeah, there's part of me that I like Fashiono. I mean, a little bit more. And you talk about the upside, but the upside to me is Alt sometimes because he's so tall. He bends at his waist forward a lot. And if you do that in the NFL, these elite pass rushers are going to take advantage of that. Now, he doesn't do it all the time, and he can get away with it in college. Mm-hmm. Now, that's something that Callahan can kind of coach out of him because he's not doing it all the time. But you could see at times, being a long torsoed guy, being that he's 6'8", he leans forward at the waist forward, and that gets you off balance when you're a tall guy. So he needs to keep him standing up, sitting, squatting like you're squatting in a chair and stay there. So he could, he was so talented he could do that in college, but in the pros he will not. So that's the only chink in his armor, and that could be nothing once Callahan touches him and kind of identifies that this is what's going on and this is how you fix it. Other than that, I think he's gonna be good. He's gonna be good for sure. But will he be great will be the question, and you got to assume that there's the possibility that he will be with Callahan. So I'm going there because you still don't have your front side tackle.
No.
And then people can say MPF and all this craziness, but I did not like what I saw last year, and then it was already up to debate before that, the year before that he was just okay, and he started telling downward there at the end of the season, the last 4 or 5 games. And then last year was just not even a year with him being suspended, and then he got injured. Then he played like crap when he did play. I mean, he played bad. So we can say Callahan can touch him, but man, I may be looking for a front side tackle June 1st cuts.
Yeah.
Some 3, 4, 5 million guy, 1 year deal or 2 year, buy me some more time because you can't fix everything in one season, but I got to get some starters, and there are going to be some guys available. It's just, where do you want to start first? You need a middle linebacker, you need a safety, you need another pass rusher. As I said before, Key was a rotational guy.
Yeah. He
does a lot of chattering, talking, but all that talk don't go into action when I'm talking about the numbers. So, yeah. And then he got 2 sacks in the first game, I think. He's like, oh, man, and then he only finished with 6 sacks. Are you kidding me, bro?
Yeah,
I would have told him if I'm on the team, stop all that talking and I want to see the action. You get some action, then now you can do some talking. But chill on all that jabber.
Yeah.
I'm not a big proponent. You're going to do all that talking, you better show up or ship out.
Okay.
Not having that front side tackle.
Yeah, you
ship out.
I thought I was going to say, shut your mouth.
You shut your mouth.
Not having that front side tackle is another reason I think you go left tackle. Like at least
clear
you
guys are talking.
Clear one of the bookends, man.
I would go with Alt there. If I'm sticking and picking, and I'd go with Alt. But he has Fashiono going 14th. So if you're a trade back person, you trade back there, get Fashiono and a second or a 3rd rounder or a 2nd rounder.
That's where I'm conflicted.
Yeah.
If somebody offers me something good, and because I know I need multiple players, and I can still get a real good, maybe not the number 1 tackle, but maybe I can get the number 2 tackle and pick up a pick.
Yeah.
Man, that would
imagine if
me.
You did that, and
then he's gone.
And then you're just kind of sit there with like,
you get pantsed.
No, we have we didn't.
No. There's always, you got to think of plan B, C, and D. Here's what it is. You know what's going to happen? You go to your B plan, and your B plan is you switch the position to whatever else you want to get. You still get an elite player, and then you decide that you're going to get once you make that decision to trade back, that you may take a really good tackle, because they said it's a deep that you take and then later
at 38.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you get him in the 2nd round, and you got to feel confident in Callahan that he trusts what he's saying about players in his evaluation.
All right, I trust Blake Lovell to talk basketball, and he will join us next at the Blake Lovell Southeastern 14. Sweet 16 starts tonight. Let's catch up with our man next.
Hey, this is Blaine Bishop, and I'm excited to tell you about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, or as you may know them as TOA. And TOA has 29 locations and over 100 orthopedic physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. In addition to their orthopedic clinics and urgent care facilities, TOA offers physical therapy, hand therapy, and sports performance training for teams and individuals at their sports performance centers. And as a former professional athlete, I know how important access to expert orthopedic care is. And so whether you're an athlete, active adult, or just looking to get back to living your best life, you can give a visit to TOA online at TOA.com. That's TOA.com, or you can call them at 1-855-NEED-TOA. That's 1-855-NEED-TOA.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Talking basketball, it's what we're doing. Sweet 16 games start tonight.
Yeah, I think
Blake Lovell on the phone.
Can Brock Bowers play basketball too?
I don't know, but man, there's a lot of people who like Brock Bowers. Hey, Blake, did you ever scout Brock Bowers for basketball when he was out in California living it up, getting ready to come down and play some tight end in the SEC? People love that guy.
Yeah, tell me
here.
he crossed over somebody and then dunked on him. Tell me.
I mean, he'd fit in the way the SEC plays basketball. I mean, very aggressive, a lot of fouls, a lot of physical play. So I think he'd fit in perfectly. So.
Oh, man.
Well, let's talk about this. Are you surprised only 2 SEC teams made it this far to the Sweet 16? Again, Blake Lovell, Southeastern 14, covering all things SEC. You surprised only 2 survived to the second weekend?
I thought it'd be 3. I thought that was the number, and that would have either come out of, either Kentucky advancing or an Auburn advancing, something like that. I mean, I thought Alabama actually had a good chance to be here. We mentioned before, I thought Tennessee had a good shot to get here. So I'm not exactly stunned that those 2 are the last 2 left, but I did think one of either Auburn, which seemed like it had the best pass, or Kentucky would make it there just based on the matchup. So it's interesting, though, guys. I mean, you think about what we talked about all year long. We talked about, Auburn's great, Kentucky's great, South Carolina had a great year, but it felt like we were always bouncing back and forth between Tennessee and Alabama and trying to figure out, okay, which one of these teams is going to win the SEC? And ultimately, these are the 2 teams that are left, even though Alabama struggled a little bit down the stretch. Tennessee has started to pick it up a bit, minus that 1 game in the SEC tournament. It's kind of interesting, I guess, that these are the 2 that are left standing.
Well, you mentioned Kentucky being one of the teams. Obviously, they did make it to the second weekend, and a bunch of UK fans are big mad. But it certainly looks like Cal's not going anywhere again.
Again, I think it's like Groundhog Day, because we felt like 2 years ago, after that happened against St. Peter's, the whole thought was, all right, they've got to be able to change something considerably in the next year to be able to make it out. And what happened? Well, they got to the second round of the tournament. So they won a game. That was better than what they did the year before. But now it's like they're back where they started again, where they lose as a 3 seed to a 14 seed in Oakland. And now I thought this may be that point where it's like, how do you possibly come back from this? Of course, all the national media stuff was like, hey, this may be the last game Cal's going to coach there. But he is coming back. And I think, it's like, are we doing this again? We are, because it's a situation where I've said, guys, I mean, if they're in this same spot a year from now, I think there's a 100% chance they make a move next year. Whereas maybe this year I thought, well, 90% maybe. But the other 10% went out. And my question is, what is he going to be able to say until next March that's going to convince anybody that things are going to be different, even if they go 32-5 in the regular season? Guess what Kentucky fans are going to have in the back of their mind? Well, we're going to go out and be a 2 seed, and we're going to lose to somebody in the first round, because we just have not done that. So I think it's how he constructs his roster. He's going to have to get a bunch of older players, because otherwise I just don't know how you're going to tell anybody that this season is going to be any different.
Blake Lovell telling us what's going on at the Blake Lovell on Twitter, Southeastern 14, covering the SEC.
Well, Blake, you just said that older players, that won't guarantee you a win, but I'm going to go the other route in that the young players that he had played an entire season. They were no longer freshmen. He keeps saying that. To me, now that they've played so much, that it shouldn't matter. Once you get in those moments, you got to be able to step it up. All these guys are 5 stars. They should be able to do it.
Yeah, well, and here's where I think the biggest change is going to come is, and I found this stat, guys. I didn't realize it until I was really looking at this when I'm thinking, all right, is he coming back? Is he not coming back? But what he's done is he's compiled a lot of great talent. And this year you could not doubt the talent that they had. One of the most talented teams in the country. But here's the difference.
No defense.
This year, there you go. No defense. That is it. If you look at the teams that, for John Calipari at Kentucky, that have advanced beyond the Sweet 16, which, let's be honest, Kentucky fans right now would crawl for miles to get a Sweet 16. But if you want to talk about the expectations, it's Final Four national championship. The teams that have gotten beyond the Sweet 16 for Cal have all been top 20 defensive teams, minus, you guys remember the one year where they made that run as like an 8 seed, where they were paired with Wichita State, who was undefeated and all that. I mean, that's the one outlier of like the 6 or 7 other times they've done it. They've all been great defensive teams. This year, they were a top 115 defensive team. So it's like he's compiling a lot of great talent. And like we said, they're young, but like you mentioned, Blaine, they played entire season. So they got to go find people who are wanting to defend and not just wanting to, be guys that are talented, are going to put up great offensive numbers, but they got to have a team. They got to build an entire team where you have great shooters, great point guard, great defensive player, somebody that you can say is a Zakai Ziegler, right? Where you identify that guy and say, that's the guy who's going to go stop their best player. They didn't have one of those guys this year. And so I think that's what they're missing.
All they got to do is just go recruit a 3-star guy who's, real tough mentally and has just enough ability to play, and then gives them the blueprint and they see what he does. But if they did let go of Palapari, but they didn't, who would you think would be a good fit? Give me a couple names that you think would be a good fit at Kentucky, because that's kind of the gauntlet there, man, at Kentucky. I don't really know. You know better than me.
That's the problem, is like we can all say, and Kentucky fans, they had their list, right? And they were aiming high. They're going to get Billy Donovan from the NBA. They're going to get Brad Stevens, in his role. They're going to get Jay Wright. That's who they want, right? Like they want all the names that are out there like that. I mean, look, even some were, I think, begging for Rick Pitino at this point, which, boy, that would be a full circle moment there. But that's the thing, is like how many coaches out there are equipped to handle what comes with the Kentucky job? Like we can even say, their guy, Hurley, right? He's coaching UConn, the defending national champion, great chance to repeat as national champion. But it's a different job Kentucky is than UConn. Even if they were a 2-time national champion after this year, it's still, there's so many other things that come along with that job. Is it for everybody? And, they're talking Scott Drew and guys like that. All those guys are great coaches, don't get me wrong, but it takes a very special skill set, I think, to be able to coach Kentucky. And I think that's ultimately, guys, why the decision was made for Cal to come back. You can't just say, all right, we're going to fire the guy who has put us in a position we just haven't got beyond where we think we need to, but it's not like we're just losing games every year. We're still winning a lot of games. And if you don't have an answer for that, you can't just go fire him and say, we'll pay the $30 million and let's just go see who wants the job, right? It's like, if you're going to make that move, you got to know 10 steps ahead. Who's signing with you? Who are you going to bring in that is going to fix all these problems and be able to stay on the same path in terms of the regular season success, but who's going to come in and build the national championship type teams? There are not a lot of coaches out there to pick from without taking a big risk, right? But at this point, Kentucky fans would be okay taking a risk probably.
I guess last we got to talk about Tennessee and this matchup with Creighton, man. Besides the short rotation there with the one guy, man, they are a pretty good team. I've watched them now, and it's going to be interesting to see how this game plays out. I still think Tennessee can win it, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Tennessee needs to make this game ugly, which is not going to be music to everybody's ears after the last game, because that one was ugly against Texas. But I think, look, like you said, I think Creighton's a team that can win the whole tournament just based on the way they play. They're a top 25 offense and defensive team. They shoot the ball so well, and I think that's where this gets interesting to me, is if there's a path for Tennessee to win this game. We've said how many offensive teams this year, great offensive teams, Alabama, Florida, teams like that. How many of those kind of teams is Tennessee just really frustrated based on their defense, like how far they push you out and force you to, Ziegler forces you to get a few steps further than you want to when you're starting your offense. And everybody else, like Maye, all these other guys, they just keep bumping you. They're physical. And Creighton, here's a stat to keep in mind. Creighton gets 40% of their offensive points from three.
Yeah.
That is in the top 10 in the country. 40% of their points come from three. They only get like 15% from the free throw line, which I think is like 350th nationally. So they're going to take a lot of jump shots. And I think, to me, listen, if you're going to beat Tennessee, it's really hard to beat them in the paint because AD's waiting on you and a bunch of other guys that are going to bump you around, like we said. But if Tennessee, if you're trying to just get open shots against Tennessee, that's not easy to do if you're trying to beat them just with jump shots. And so I think that's going to be the interesting thing to watch here. Do I completely trust Tennessee offensively after the last game and some of the other stuff we've seen over the past several weeks? No. But I think they can still win this game with their defense, because I'm curious to see what kind of shots Creighton does get, because they are so reliant on the three. And if Tennessee plays their usual defense where they're bumping people and being physical, I don't think Creighton's the most physical team in the Big East. I think you could rank a bunch of other teams ahead of them. They don't really foul a lot. And so I think that kind of shows you this is a team that likes to play their game. They like to get the shots they want, and that's how they've won games. But Tennessee could really disrupt all of that, I think, with the way they play defense.
Blake Lovell.
Southeastern 14. So let me ask you this. Combined point total versus Creighton for Santee and Triple J. What would you be willing to set the over-under at? Combined point total for those two guys.
Oh, man. I mean, they've got to score. I think it's very simple. I mean, I think you have to set it at 20 if you can just get 10 piece from those guys, right? I mean, I think that's what you need. I mean, you just need these guys to be able to give you consistent enough production. I don't know. I mean, if they can combine for 20, you got to, bank on Connect to get his usual. I think Connect's going to have a good game here. And I may be wrong because, look, he's had some couple games where obviously, he still scored 18 points on what was a poor shooting performance against Texas. He's still going to get his points. But I think Ziegler's the one to watch in this game tonight because he's going to go up against, Stephen Ashworth, who I mentioned. I just don't think the guards for Creighton want the physicality they're going to see. And I think that Ziegler offensively could have a really good game here if he gets the shots that he wants. So, listen, give me 10 apiece from Vescovy and James. Give me Ziegler with 15. Connect gets 20-something. You're okay. It's a lot to ask, but listen, it's the biggest game of the season. All your guys got to step up, and I think you could get a balanced performance here from Tennessee.
There you go. We were talking about teams that didn't get new coaches, including Kentucky. Vandy did. What do you think about the new coach down on West End?
Yeah, Mark Byington is someone obviously coming off of just a career year at James Madison. They won 32 games. If I'm picking a new coach and he just won 32 games, I'm feeling okay about myself just based off of that. Look, he's a great offensive coach. I think I always say if you're really struggling as a program, go out and get somebody who can get people in the building again, even if they're not winning games from, day one. Just give me something entertaining to watch. And he's going to give them a very entertaining style, and I think what's going to happen is they're going to get players because of that. They're going to get players who want to come in and say, oh, man, I want to play in this type of style where they're going to play up-tempo, they're going to get up and down the floor, all of that. Jerry Stackhouse, they ran good offense at Vanderbilt, but this is going to be like a different type of offense. It's going to be a bit more free-flowing, I think, and defensively they're going to pressure you. That's the way his teams have played. And so, look, here's the deal. It wouldn't matter who they hire. It's all got to come down to are they going to put the resources in that they need to put in to give him the most success in the transfer NIL era, because that's what it's all about. And I don't know that they had that opportunity before. Now they've really got to put all their money into it because that's how you get players, like it or not. I mean, you should see some of the numbers that I'm seeing right now that good players are being offered. Like we're talking just ridiculous amount of money. And so Vandy's got to be able to match that. You're in the SEC. You're recruiting against Rick Barnes, John Calipari, Bruce Pearl, Nate Oates, and so forth. They got money to spend, I guarantee you, when it comes to the players they're getting. So Vandy's got to be able to match that if they want to be able to get any type of advantage in this league. So
Blake Lovell matching the energy that he's talking about, bringing it always at the Blake Lovell Southeastern 14, talking basketball with us.
Well, Blake, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on Greg Sankey. And what did he say? Something about expanding the tournament or also actually just separating from the tournament, I guess, maybe the Big Ten and SEC. Or was he just, calling the bluff and just kind of negotiating? What do you think he was, thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, and boy, did everyone have a fun time with that, the SEC's poor start in the NCAA tournament after Greg Sankey's comments. And, yeah, that didn't exactly work out well. But look, I know what he said, and I think I've always just kind of been in the belief that we all know this tournament is going to expand. I mean, it's going to happen. Like the money, it's just it's going to happen. Like I don't know what the number winds up getting to, and I just think it's going to keep growing. Like I don't think we're ever going to get a situation where you're just saying, don't leave teams out and. I know, look, you're going to have commissioners. Greg Sankey's fighting for his conference. I get it. Like, he's fighting for the SEC. He wants to find a way to get as many teams in there. He's adding 2 teams next year. He wants the SEC to let's get 11 of our 16 teams in every year, right, or something like that. But I think when the NCAA tournament does expand, My thing is going to be, are we just going to keep going that route where we're just pulling the 11th best team out of the SEC and throwing them into the field? Or are we going to, continue the tradition of the NCAA tournament where let's take the second best team from, whatever conference, the Southern Conference, or the second best team from wherever you want to pull from? Is that team have a better chance to give you, what you want in the NCAA tournament versus the 11th best team in the SEC that just went 7 and 11 in the conference and is sitting there at 17 and 16 on the year? That's the balance that they're going to have to figure out. And my worry is that, you're going to get, let's just use Belmont as an example, right? There were years there where Belmont would lose on the path to the OVC championship. They beat first place and, they lose their conference tournament, and then we knew they had no chance to get in. Yeah. I think they've got to rework some of that stuff and figure out exactly. I think you need to reward regular season champions, especially in conferences like that are one big leagues. I know it's all about winning your tournament, but if you're telling me a team is great over 35 games and they're the best team in that conference, that means more to me than just what a team does over a 2-game span in the conference tournament. So it's the madness of March. I get all that, but if they expand, guys, there are so many things they've got to work out. Otherwise, I think we are going to get in a situation where maybe Greg Sankey's comments carry a lot of weight, and that favors the SEC, maybe the Big Ten, and so forth. Like it's a very interesting dynamic they got to figure out.
Well, Blake, I have 2 teams still left in the tournament, and those 2 teams can make it to the finals, the championship. UNC versus Tennessee, and Tennessee winning, cutting down the stretch. Tell me how crazy I am. To this point, who do you think now will win it all?
I tell you, I see UConn play, and I'm like, why did I ever overthink this? Anybody else? Because I still look like they're the best team out there. North Carolina, though, has been better than I thought they'd be to this point, Blaine, because I thought they had a tough second-round matchup against Michigan State. But I think the way they rebounded after that slow start, here's what Alabama's going to have a problem tonight if North Carolina comes out and plays the way that we've seen them play here recently, because that, I love experienced teams. Mm-hmm. That is such an experienced team. They got great guard play. They got a great big man. They play defense. And they're a great offensive team. They're kind of that complete package. And, there have been some ups and downs this year for them. But I do think Carolina, if they win this game, I really like the matchup against Arizona, which is my guess over Clemson. Carolina could certainly get there. But, UConn looks unstoppable right now.
Sure do. Hey, Blake, thank you, man. Basketball tonight, tomorrow night, and the next 2 nights, and then we get to sort it all out again. And I'm sure we'll be talking again soon. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. Everybody go follow Blake right now at the Blake Lovell Southeastern 14. All right, the NFL is going to play games on Christmas on Wednesday. What are these games worth? They are going to make you bid on them. And where does the bidding start? It's some eye-popping numbers we will share next on Blaine and Mickey. But first, we got tickets to give away. Is that right, Bananas?
That's right.
Ooh, let's do it. All right, get your dialing fingers out. It's time to win Mix Ticks. Mickey, me. I'm Mickey. I'm giving you the chance to win tickets to some of my favorite artists thanks to our Window Nation ticket window. Be caller 5 now. Here you go. Slash's Serpent Festival with special guests Larkin Poe, ZZ Ward, Robert Randolph, who is fantastic, at First Bank Amphitheater on August 14th. This is a night that you do not want to miss. And caller 5 gets these. 615-737-1045 to see a fantastic night of music. Window Nation ticket window is open now. Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone. If you listen to this show, you would know this because we were formed a few years ago, and as we sort of wound through the COVID season, and we saw them just put games every night of the week. 4 years. Yeah.
Dang, it flies.
It sure does.
I feel like it's only been a couple years.
And we just kind of sit here one day talking about a game that had been played on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever and said, you realize now they're just going to realize we can play whenever we want to. We can do whatever we want.
You said.
So our thing at that point was just if you like NFL football, you're going to start getting more and more on different days. Now, they've also added a bunch of networks and things you got to stream to get and Peacock and everything else. But now they're going to play Christmas games. They're basically telling the NBA, we're going to squash you like a bug. Because remember, the NBA's day was Christmas.
Oh, it always was.
If you like NBA basketball, really, the official start of that season for a lot of people was Christmas Day. Football's winding down. Basketball's starting to take off. Kind of got an idea of what your team's going to look like that year by that time. Well, NBA better move aside. Here's what Michael McCarthy, he's like an NFL business guy. He's written a bunch of books about the formation of the NFL and everything. He works in front office sports now. He reports the NFL is going to put the rights to there's going to be 2 Wednesday Christmas games. They're going to put them up for auction for the networks. It is likely to start at $50 million per game. Now, this is on Pro Football Talk that I'm reading this, and Florio, who's covered the league he talks about it all the time, a long time, forever. He said it won't be a surprise to me if it stops at or near $100 million. Last year's games played on Christmas Day averaged 29 million viewers. In January, Peacock paid $110 million for a wild card game. This year, Amazon will pay $120 million for a wild card game for one game. One game in the NFL. One game.
Yeah. So that's why it always goes back to the money. I know I said that before. I said that about baseball because I was like, well, if you cut the schedule, that means their contract with the TV, they're not getting their bang for the buck for all the games. So you have to redo the TV contracts for less game, which means maybe less money. So they'll never do less games in baseball. So here with the NFL, I would say just because it's on Christmas Day, it may equal to what a wild card game is.
Sure.
Yeah, 120 million. Yeah, I'm with you.
So the playoffs is its own built-in attraction. Mm-hmm. You win, you go on, you lose.
Everybody's sitting at home watching games on Christmas Day. Yeah, whether it's basketball, NBA, football, college, it doesn't matter.
Christmas and Thanksgiving are the 2 most captive audience days in the world, at least in our world where we are. Christmas and Thanksgiving.
I was going to say Thanksgiving. Everybody's sitting there eating.
Everybody.
And honestly, the numbers are probably a little lower than what you would think they are because big families gathering together are probably only watching on like 1 or 2 TVs. Where really, it's probably like 10 or 15 people watching at the same time. So those numbers might be smaller than they actually are.
Mm-hmm. People are gathered in one location.
And it's going to be the same way for Christmas.
Yep. Opening those gifts.
So now that they've shown they will do this, now think about it. For all of our lives anyway, there have been 3 games on Thanksgiving. For as long as any of us can remember, 3 games on Thanksgiving. Now that they don't give a beep what day they play on, we're going to get to the point where they play 3 games on Christmas.
I mean, they already, got 2?
There's going to be 2.
I mean, so like 3 is like nothing after this.
So if Christmas is on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, it's not going to matter. And if you're the NFL, you're just praying that it doesn't fall on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, because then it falls outside of your regular contracts. It's a different day. So then you just open up the bidding. And Florio's right, over 100, and you're right. This is Christmas Day with everybody stuck in the house. And in the Northeast, the weather's terrible. So it's not like you're going to go out and do anything. You're going to sit in the house. You're going to watch in the Midwest, covered in snow by that time. You're just going to be watching football. So they're going to make, it wouldn't surprise me if they made around $250 on these 2 games.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So 120 piece. Mm-hmm.
So just think, it's like, oh, shoot, well, then we'll just add another. We'll play 3 on Thanksgiving and 3 on Christmas.
The question is, who wins out in the bidding more, a streaming company or a cable company?
Well, people are going to be big mad if it's not a channel that they can just watch. Because I promise you, my mom's house, you're going to be hurting if it's not just a regular broadcast channel. And I hope that it is.
And they got to think about that. Like, you're going to family's house, typically older family's house, and they might not have other streaming apps.
Get ready to share some passwords.
That check.
100%. Tell Uncle Fred to bring all his passwords with him to Meemaw's house. All right.
Meemaw.
We got to get out of here. Tomorrow's Friday. Big day coming up. Can't wait to hang out with you. But right now, you get to hang out with 3HL next. They'll get you the rest of the way home.
But in the meantime,
in between time,
peace.